What if transcendence isn't about going up, but about going out? I'm Scott, and this is episode 11 of Transcendence, our shared journey. We've spent weeks talking about sin, discernment, forgiveness, centering, prayer. We've climbed mountains in our minds. We've wrestled with doubt. We've searched for the compass within. But there's a danger in climbing alone. You can become so focused on enlightenment that you forget the village below. And real transcendence, the kind that actually transforms you, doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you step out of yourself. Let's be honest, we spend a lot of time inside our own heads, our wounds, our growth, our healing, our identity, our spiritual progress. Introspection is necessary, but if you stay there too long, spirituality collapses inward. Transcendence becomes self-optimization. Morality becomes self-monitoring. Faith becomes self-absorption. And the irony? The more you focus on yourself, the smaller your world becomes. Psychology confirms this. Rumination increases anxiety and depression. Isolation intensifies distress. The brain's default mode network, the part responsible for self-referential thinking, becomes overactive. But service interrupts that loop. Studies show volunteering lowers stress hormones, reduces depression, increases life satisfaction, and activates reward pathways in the brain. Helping others quiets the mind. You want to transcend? Get out of yourself. This is where Catholic teaching becomes profoundly practical. The Church does not define holiness as private, mystical insight. It defines it as love embodied. The corporal works of mercy are not suggestions. They are the blueprint for outward transcendence. Feed the hungry. Give drink to the thirsty. Clothe the naked. Shelter the homeless. Visit the sick. Visit the imprisoned. Bury the dead. Why are these the crux? Because they move transcendence from the interior to the incarnational. You cannot romanticize spirituality when you are feeding someone who hasn't eaten. You cannot obsess over your own enlightenment when you are sitting beside someone dying. The corporal works force you into encounter. They dismantle ego, they convert compassion from theory into action. And the spiritual works of mercy deepen this outward turn. Counsel the doubtful, instruct the ignorant, admonish the sinner, comfort the sorrowful, forgive offenses, bear wrongs patiently, pray for the living and the dead. These address intellectual and emotional suffering, not just physical need. Notice something. None of this is self-focused. The works of mercy are transcendence operationalized. They are the mountain turned into movement. This outward turn is not uniquely Catholic. Judaism speaks of tikkun olam, repairing the world. Ethical responsibility is communal, not individualistic. Islam mandates zakat, structured obligatory charity, not generosity when convenient, but justice embedded into economic life. Buddhism gives us the bodhisattva, the awakened being who delays personal liberation to alleviate the suffering of others. Enlightenment is incomplete if it ignores compassion. Hinduism teaches karma yoga, selfless action performed without attachment to reward. Act rightly, release the ego. The Stoics taught cosmopolitanism, that we are citizens of a larger moral community. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he was made to work with others, like hands or feet. Even psychology converges here, meaning increases when self-concern decreases. Viktor Frankl observed that people who dedicate themselves to something beyond themselves endure suffering with greater resilience. Across philosophy, faith, and science, the conclusion is consistent. Transcendence without compassion collapses inward. Let me briefly introduce something I've been developing as a framework, what I call the commons, not as a political slogan, but as a moral blueprint. The commons is everything we share: air, water, knowledge, institutions, law, culture, the environment, the future. Transcendence must include stewardship. If enlightenment does not improve the shared world, it becomes self-indulgence. The guiding question becomes, does my life contribute more than it consumes? This blueprint doesn't replace faith or philosophy. It extends them outward. Christianity calls it stewardship. Judaism calls it guardianship. Islam teaches humans are vice-regents of the earth. Indigenous traditions speak of sacred reciprocity. Secular ethics calls it sustainability. Different language, same principle. We do not own the world, we borrow it. To seek transcendence while neglecting the planet is contradiction. Your body is also entrusted to you. Exercise, rest, nutrition, moderation. These are not vanity projects. They are preparation. You cannot serve others if you are chronically exhausted by preventable habits. Transcendence is not disembodied. It is disciplined. There is also a responsibility of participation. Time to think, time to learn, time to vote, time to engage thoughtfully. Democracy is not spectacle. It is daily conscience. Willful ignorance weakens the commons. Informed participation strengthens it. You cannot pray for justice while refusing to act responsibly. Picture yourself again on that mountain. You've prayed, you've wrestled, you've reflected. You finally reach the clearing, and below you, the village, the river, the people, the fields. The summit was never the destination. It was perspective. Now you descend. Not because you failed, but because you understand ascension is not departure. It is return. So tonight, ask yourself, where am I trapped in my own head? Who can I serve? What does my neighbor need? What does the earth need? Does my life contribute more than it consumes? Because transcendence is not measured by how high you rise. It is measured by how deeply you love. In action, in mercy, in stewardship, in participation. The mountain gives you vision. The village gives you purpose. Walk outward. Peace.
Lift you up, we lift each other. I lift you up, we lift each other.
Lift each other, lift each other. We rise together, we rise together.
What if transcendence isn't going up, but going out into love? What if the highest thing we do is lift the world we're standing on?
I lift you up, we lift each other, lift each other, lift each other. I lift you up, we lift each other, lift each other, lift each other. Oh, up, 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 up,
Walk the halls inside my head, counting faults and counting threads, trying to climb by prayer alone, trying to carve my soul from stone. But every summit shows the same, 1,000 faces, one clear name. The village waiting in the rain, the hands that need a hand again.
Who feeds the hungry? We do. Who lifts the fallen? We do. Who turns the lonely into we do. You and me. I lift you up, we lift each other, lift each other, lift each other. Hands in the light, sisters and brothers, outward we go. Love is the road. I lift you up, we lift each other. Higher we rise, all of us together. I lift you up, I lift you up. We lift each other, we lift each other.
Lift each other, we rise together.
We rise together, we rise together.
Feed the hungry, share the bread. Give drink where thirst has left folks dead. Clothe the cold, make shelter near. Sit with the sick, stay through the fear. Guard the rivers, guard the seas. Care for air and ancient trees. What we borrow, we return, so the common world can learn.
Who heals the broken? We do. Who keeps the promise? We do. Who keeps tomorrow shining free? We do. You and me. I lift you up, we lift each other, lift each other, lift each other. Hands in the light, sisters and brothers, outward we go. Love is the road. I lift you up, we lift each other. higher we rise, all of us together. I lift you up, I lift you up, I lift you up.
I lift each other, we lift each other, we lift each other, we lift each other, lift each other, we rise together.
We rise together, we rise together.
I climb the mountain for the view, to find the compass pointing true. But down below the fields were real, and mercy gave the summit meaning. The height was never meant to hold me, it only gave me eyes to see. Ascension isn't leaving life, it's coming back more faithfully.
Lift each other, lift each other, lift each other, we rise together. Lift each other, we rise together. I lift you up, we lift each other. I lift you up, we lift each other. Lift each other, we lift each other. Hands in the light, sisters and brothers, outward we go. Love is the road, I lift you up. We lift each other, higher we rise, all of us together. I lift you up, we lift each other.
The more we give, the more we grow.
I lift you up, we lift each other. Lift each other, lift each other. Lift each other, we rise together. I lift you up, I lift we go. I lift you up.
We lift each other, outward we go.